everybody. It is Janet Metzger of the Network Marketers Den, and I am here today with my new friend, Nick Cavuoto. He's from Denver. He's living in Denver, but he's originally from the East Coast. So it's really great to have you here, Nick, and I'm excited for everybody to hear all about you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me here, Janet. You're amazing. What a new, awesome friendship this is kicking off to. So
absolutely.
I'm so grateful.
Absolutely. No, thank you for reaching out. You know, I guess the first thing I would want our listeners to know is that sometimes all you have to do is ask. And that's what Nick did. He asked, he said, I'd like to be a guest on your podcast. And now I know why he wanted to be a guest. And I think you all are going to be really, really excited about it. So you have been in business for yourself, your own business, you said since 2015. So incredibly successful. So if you could give us not the 30-second version, but the long elevator ride speech, if you would, about what you do to help your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at the end of the day, I'm a people catalyst, and my heart and my intent in what I do in business is all about really helping people find their true form of their potential. That may sound lofty, but I'm equal parts spiritual and practical in business. So I care a lot about what you're doing, why you're doing it, how it's serving you. And I understand on a deeper level how to get to the root of what's really going on in someone's life. So when it comes to life performance or entrepreneur performance, business is a mirror to your personal life. And so both parts of business, I've done a lot of really cool things, over $200 million in revenue. I spent a lot of time with Fortune 500 executives early on in my career. And I started out as a preacher's kid. So what's really funny is I've kind of done life in reverse. Like I started off as a preacher's kid who went into nonprofit ministry and started in spiritual leadership, and then in that kind of giving back mode. And then I've slowly found my way through entrepreneurship, Fortune 500, the whole deal. So I will say, Janet, with 100% certainty, I'm incredibly grateful to be where I'm at today. And I'm grateful for the lessons along the way, because some have been really valuable lessons to learn. There's been some hard things to learn. But I know that every day I'm showing up, giving the greatest gift that I can give to the world, which is being truly in alignment with what I believe that my creator wants me to do. And I don't think there's anything more that I can do than just keep on, honking that horn and tooting that thing as loud as I can, and encouraging others to do the same.
I love what you say. You kind of are the upside down, because usually as people retire, that's when they switch over to the nonprofit side. I know that I did that. So that's really, really interesting. So now a preacher's kid. Okay. That's a lot to live up to. I'm sure that's quite a bit, but absolutely. You had a really interesting story about when you first started out, in college, and then you had a couple things happen that weren't so great. And you want to just tell us a little bit about that journey and what happened about your growth spurt? That is amazing to me.
Absolutely. Well, I experienced some pretty high rejection at 16 years old, coming from a community that I kind of got banished from, if you will. And that's because at that time, my brothers and I'm the youngest of three boys. We're all about a year and a half apart. One of my brothers kind of made some interesting decisions in life. And at that time, he was probably about 15. And, it just was happenstance that the school asked us not to come back. And this was like private Christian school, dad's preacher, the whole deal. So it was a hard thing, but I kind of had to start over. And that's kind of where I lost my footing in life. And by the time I hit college at 19, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was still stuck on the rejection from the past. Isn't that interesting how things can happen in our life in the past and we carry them into the future? And then all of a sudden we're wondering why our business isn't working, or why I couldn't figure out college. I failed out twice. Well, it's the healing of the past that gives us that golden nugget of that lesson that will lead us into our future and really heal those broken parts of us that need repair. And that's a lesson I've learned in the past year, but it took a long time to figure it out. But 19 years old, failed out of college for the second time. I said, Dad, I need to come home. So I swung back up from Palm Beach to New York. And my dad said, well, why don't you go volunteer at our church? And I said, all right, I'll go do it. And I ended up growing that church from 1,000 to 10,000 people every weekend. And I built that on the basis of personal brand. And that was in, 2006, 7, around that time was when that started. So you can imagine my first podcast I ever uploaded was in 2006. So I've been at this game for a little bit.
You have, but that is amazing to grow from 1,000 people to 10,000 people. That's phenomenal because, the trends are kind of a reverse, there's
very much so.
People are going, but you talk about branding. And I understand branding, but how do you take branding, when it comes to being a pastor and growing your followers? That's just amazing to me. Talk a little bit about, you've got a formula that you use for branding. I'm going to let you expand on that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, it's to understand, and this is the greatest principle in marketing that I learned when I was in ministry, because things were not explained like event marketing. It's just, how do we get more butts in seats? How do we create more transformation, right? So the verbiage was not linked. So I learned how to do things out of context that were incredibly powerful when I found my way into the business world. And so one of those things primarily was understanding that if you can get the right message in front of the right people at the right time, transformation happens. So that's like one of the first things. One of the second things I figured out was, in order to develop more engagement with deeper connection and getting the perfect people who can attend, this perfect opportunity, there's this concoction there that happens when you're focusing on the right elements, not just, hey, what are the donations for the weekend? I never even saw a donation report. I never cared. What I cared about was what was happening in the individual seat that someone sat in. And later in business, when I dissected the formula of what I did to grow an audience, a live physical audience every weekend from 1,000 to 10,000 people, there were the 7 Ps. And I've now defined these as the 7 Ps of a 7-figure personal brand. So I'm going to run through them with you. And then whichever ones you want to talk about, we can go ahead and do it. But I'll list them out. Okay. Are you ready, Janet?
Taking notes. I am ready. All right,
Coach, let's do this. So number 1 is personal story. Your personal story. And I will tell everybody, if you want to tell a personal story that matters, start with transparency, something that you've been through that someone can relate to. And don't start from the intent of, oh, how can I say something that will get someone to hear a connection point and then manipulate them to buy from me? The market's too savvy. And guess what? Karma doesn't work out so well for you that way. Right. So start with positive intent about doing something that freaking matters in the world and watch how crazy your business goes. So that's number 1. Number 2 is platform. Your platform. So for instance, we're on a podcast right now. This is a great platform to build your audience, right? Social media, different channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. These are all different platforms. You want to pick a platform. Number 3 is your positioning. Now your positioning matters because this is how you're going to essentially identify yourself in the market. So your positioning is typically a statement about yourself. I said something like, I'm equal parts, spiritual and practical. That's positioning right there, right? Number 4 is product. So this is all about your product. At the end of the day, people buy products to solve problems for a profit. There's 3 Ps in there.
There's a lot of Ps there.
Alliteration, preacher's kid, I can't help it. Number 5 is pricing. So pricing is huge. Gary Vee has a good principle. He says, keep raising your price until people stop buying. I think it's a good thing to think about because people are always willing, again, to pay to solve a problem for a profit. And that's always in proportion to the transformation that you provide. People pay the most amount of money for transformation. Number 6 is pitch. And this is how you present your product or service and how you also do outreach. So for network marketers, let me just give you the most golden nugget that I have for your audience. I'm going to give it to you right now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If you want money, ask for feedback. If you want feedback, ask for money. And they'll tell you all the reasons why they don't want to buy from you.
Okay.
I
gotta say it again. If you want money, ask for feedback. Okay.
And if you want feedback, ask for money.
Okay.
And they'll tell you all the reasons why they're not going to buy from you.
Why not? Okay. I love it. Right. Absolutely true.
Yeah. Number 7 is partners. Okay. And these are the people who are going to put you on to help you grow, to help you be successful. These are like those key relationships in business that will take you to the next level. Start with your story and with your partners, and you'll have a 7-figure business.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Wow. We can't cover all these. So I got.
You'll have to have me back, Coach.
I will. The thing that really, can you talk more about product and solving problems? Because I'm all about that. And not everybody hears that, if you don't have the problem, or if you don't know if they've got the problem, it doesn't do any good. They're not going to buy your product. So can you talk more about product and solving problems?
Yeah, you're coming right down my lane here, because when I was in corporate, I managed over $1 billion worth of products at 27, which, funny enough, was like 7 or 8 years after I failed out of college twice. Funny stories in there, by the way. I ended up finishing, which I'm grateful for. But that's the difference between being on mission and finding that North Star for yourself. But in product management is pretty straightforward. You have to be able to describe your product in such a simplistic way that a fourth grader can understand it. And I think that we get so caught up into the speeds, as Steve Jobs talked about, the speeds and fees. Mm-hmm. So the features and the benefits, you shoot for features and benefits first. And what I teach people to do is tell stories first. And that may be something that people, storytelling sales, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Here, let's just start here. Number one, when it comes to product, the best marketing strategy ever is to care. If you actually give a crap about your audience and you give a crap about the people who are buying this product from you, then you're going to show up with a story. It's the number one indicator for me. Anytime I'm coaching entrepreneurs, and I've coached a lot of them, when I listen back to their sales calls, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are we starting here at buy my stuff? Nobody gives a crap. They don't want to buy anything. They want it to be their idea to accept an invitation to transformation. So what I like to have people do is do the feedback call process for a product. Why? Because product validation is the number one thing that entrepreneurs miss when they're selling. Number one, product validation. And if you're in network marketing and you have a suite of products that you're selling from, you can still do product validation. And here's how it looks. Hey, Betty, trusted my gut here. Wanted to reach out to you. There's this new product that I've been working on or collaborating with this company on, and I wanted to get your feedback on what you thought. There's this new packaging, or just give them a reason. Maybe it's new packaging. Maybe it's a new line. Maybe it's a separate line. Maybe it's an exclusive line. And just say I just wanted to grab 5 minutes of your time and just get your thoughts on it. And by the way, I don't have anything to sell you because I actually can't even sell this product yet because it's too new. But I just wanted to get your feedback, and I wanted to get in the mind of someone who I trusted. I thought you'd, be able to offer me some advice.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I was wondering how do you ask for feedback? But that's exactly what you do. Because I have yet to meet, well, I shouldn't say yet, but most people want to give their opinion, don't they? They want to give you feedback.
Oh, yeah. They do. And people, especially post-COVID. And now here's the deal for everybody who's listening, because it's your audience, Janet. This is why I'm doing this, is because I would not do this on a massive, I'm not going to go on a stage, a network marketing conference, and tell everybody this, because people will take advantage of it. Anything that works really effectively can be used for good or evil, an equal proportion.
Right.
So the reason why I'm telling your audience this is because it's a golden nugget that will help them get ahead, which is if you want money, ask for feedback. And the feedback can be for any reason, but especially post-COVID, people are more willing now to help than ever before, right? Your audience, I want them to hear this. Don't take advantage of that. Look for the opportunity to truly serve and to show up like Bob Proctor talks about, like Jim Rohn talks about. Be of service and everything else will happen. My dad always tells me, because he's a preacher, seek first the kingdom of God, everything else be added to you. I'm like, Dad, I've heard it a million times. He drives me crazy. But I go it's the truth. Energetically, if I place my intention towards doing good, if I place my intention towards service, I've never lost. It's been the easiest stuff. I'm like, where is this? It's like heaven is raining money. And it's truly how it works. So for me, finding the opportunity to ask for feedback when it comes to product, you can create any reason. New lines, new offers, a new formula. Even you might just say, hey, I've been testing this thing out. I don't know how I feel about it. I love your feedback. You got 5 minutes.
Right.
I'll FaceTime you and I'm going to show it to you.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. And the other thing that will work very well for is if somebody wants to check, again, people want to give their opinion. I'd love your feedback on what you think of the earning opportunity at this company. Do you think it's a good place for me?
Yes. And especially, when it's someone who you really trust or someone who's part of your inner circle or even an acquaintance, just tell them, I want an honest opinion of someone who's, unhinged, not attached, no strings attached. I want an honest opinion from someone who I would trust. Right. This is the gateway to literally, this is a way that I've grown my coaching business tremendously, because I don't pitch anybody. You know what I do? I create the pitch in a deck or in a Google Doc, which is non-threatening. And then I go hey, would you mind taking a look at this? And, if it's something that you feel like you could offer me some advice on, I'd love to just catch 15 minutes with you. I have 5 calls today. And I have that just about every day.
That's phenomenal. But you're absolutely right. And feedback is a gift. I
learn so much every single time.
Yeah, feedback is truly a gift. That's great. So as a network marketer, you're with a company and there's a lot of distributors. What could a network marketer do that really separates themselves from everybody else? That's in maybe even with the same company or sells a similar product. And I have a feeling it has something to do with branding.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you use the 7 P's of the personal brand, you're going to be way ahead of the game. But here, I'll give you another +1. Okay. I have the 13 types of content every entrepreneur needs to create. This goes for network marketers as well.
Yep.
And it's a little cheat sheet. And it's a Google Doc. So you don't have to log into anything or give me your information. Sure. It's literally just shared with you. And your audience can take advantage of that to learn the types of content to create. And again, those who own the conversation, i.e. own the attention, are the ones who win. So as long as you do the right thing consistently. Gary Vee's, I think, going through a divorce right now. He didn't tell his audience. He just posted a picture with some other girl. And everyone went buku crazy. Why? Context, right? He's been so transparent with his audience for all these years. And then all of a sudden he says nothing, never posts about his family. And then boom, right? So the interesting thing is what happens when there's a value system that's out of order and you're at scale? Well, you get crucified, because that's what happens to pastors who have, moral failures, or for CEOs who make a financial mistake on a document and then they're getting audited by the SEC. So we have to be very careful with influence because it's very fragile. What do they say? It takes a lifetime to build a reputation and 1 moment to destroy it.
Exactly.
So what I will say is you will build your audience. You will grow your influence. People will be following you and tracking. And if you start out from day 0, which is my first number 1 thing that I've told people, and by the way, people who've used this process have gotten over 1 billion with a B views online using it, has been primarily to start with a transparent story. And that's something that connects you with your audience on a deeper level. And so, an example of this, when I tell people that I went from running a $150,000 a month business to not being able to afford a $30 meal at a diner, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, this guy's for real. What happened? I'm like, well, I did my best in my business. I had a partner split. After the partner split, I lost everything. Everything. I went basically down to 0. When COVID hit, I lost $1 million in 2 days.
Wow.
In 2 days.
Wow.
People who grew up with entrepreneurial parents who have lived that life of having to maybe sell the home or maybe sell the car to do the stuff, they feel a whole lot closer to me right now than before I said that.
Right. They've been there.
They've been there. They've seen it. People who have lost everything, people who have been in a position of where they've had really intense failure around them, parents, divorce, whatever it may be, that grief, people can feel that, and it connects us. So people connect on 2 reasons, and this is psychology of marketing. This is why I'm great at marketing. It has way more to do with this stuff than anything else. People connect on a common win or a common wound.
Right. Win or wound. I've never heard it put that way, but yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
And typically our trauma bond. So if we go through something intense, for me, like losing $1 million in 2 days, I can connect with someone on that wound, but I need to turn it into a relationship that creates a win. Otherwise we stay buddy in the past, and that doesn't serve anyone.
No.
So some of your audience might be listening and go like, man, I've been through some stuff. I've been grinding it out and I really want to get to the next level. Well, you need to be around people who are going to have a common win. Where do you want to go? Find someone who's been there and ascend to that point. And that's why they need you, Janet, is because you've been there, you've seen the success, and they need to linchpin themselves to somebody who gets it.
Yeah, sometimes it is experience. You can go to school all day long and until you've gone through it. But my goodness, to go from that kind of money, I can't even imagine.
3 years in a row.
3 years in a row. That's truly resilient. Now, you've been talking about partnerships. and the importance of partnerships. And I've got several really good friends and people that I've connected with over the years. And I know I could pick up the phone today, but not everybody is that fortunate to have partnerships like that. And sometimes they take a long time to develop. What would you recommend to somebody to find those partnerships and mentors and that type of thing? Because there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot, but sometimes you need somebody has been doing exactly what you are doing. Maybe it's a different industry. So talk a little bit about your, what do you call it? Mentor mind. That really was intriguing to me.
Yeah. It's funny. Before you mentioned mentor mind, I was going to say join a mastermind. And because you get 12 partners at a time, the groups that I run are between 8 to 12 people. And I framed it as Mentor Mind, which is this kind of mix between a mentorship program and a mastermind program all in one. And the good news is when you show up powerfully in order to do your greatest work with other high performing entrepreneurs, it's kind of like attracts like. You get people around you who are like you and who get you. And I'll tell you, there's something magical about being around people who truly understand you and who you can also appreciate and help and serve alongside of. So yeah, I started just pre-COVID, actually. I started these mastermind groups. I launched them in the first month. We did 6 figures in sales, or in the first quarter rather. And I had never coached an entrepreneur before. I had no idea. So I just launched it and said, the heck with it. Let's see what happens. And 35 people signed up in 35 days. And that's where I understood that I was great at marketing because of psychology, but I was great at leadership because of my calling and what I've been called to do. Nicholas means victory of the people. Since the day I was born, and my parents didn't do it with that high of intent. They liked the name, but I've really taken on the identity of what I feel that God has called me to do. And that's building entrepreneurial communities of people who are like-minded, who want to do great work, who are also hell-bent on ensuring that they make a difference in the world. And there's, I say it this way, you can't do epic things with basic people. You've got to find your way into positive relationships that will carry you forward, and brothers and sisters that you can link arms with who are up to something great. And if people aren't up to something, you'll know because they complain, and they complain about a lot of stuff. It doesn't matter if it's the weather or their shoes or, their neighbors. It doesn't matter. They'll find something to complain about. And I just don't have any time for that crap. So I find my best energy leveraged in proportion to being around the right people. And I'll tell you what, I heard this the other day, and it was one of the best things that I ever heard about this concept. I've never heard of someone making a bad investment by surrounding themselves with the right people. And it's incredibly true.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Too often our network marketers run into it. We call them the dream stealers all of the time, where somebody that says, oh, you don't want to do that, that's a pyramid, or they'll take your money, or you'll never make any money, blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting that only people that are critical, if you will, have never been successful. And that's why I say, listen to somebody that's had success. That's who you want to take advice from. But a mastermind group, to me, is phenomenal because you've got the experience in the room. But I think it's important what you do is you're leading it. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not just hodgepodge, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. We have business owners on our inside of our masterminds that do $70 million a year. We have business owners who are doing $1 million a year. And then we do have some groups that are for 6-figure business owners as well. But the good news is I'm a facilitator, and I tell everybody on day one, and I say it every single time, I'm like, this is not the Nick show. I'm here to support you, to open doors for you, to bring client contracts to you, to introduce you to highly influential people who I know, based on a lot of hard work in order to be in the right room and a lot of divinity that kind of catapulted me there. But I'm here to support you. This is a place where you can come, where you can feel supported and you can feel cared for and sought after. And by the way, all these people around this room, some of them will end up being your best friend in 12 months and will be the greatest addition to your life that you could have ever imagined. And Janet, I'll just tell you just straight up on how it is. The amount of people going through so much silent suffering right now is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
There are people going through divorce and they're not talking about it. They're going through abuse and they're not talking about it. They're going through financial issues and they're not talking about it. They're going through trauma and past wounds, and they're not talking about it. They're going through failure and not talking about it. And very few people are going through success and not talking about it, but that's a very small margin. So the reality is that people are going through more now than ever. COVID gave us the gift of a mirror. It allowed us to look into the mirror and say, what do I actually want? Because all my safety and security has gone out the window. My certainty is gone. So what do I want? What do I need? What do I want to do? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? It calls a lot of questions. And I just want to say, if there's somebody right now who feels like they're in the right place at the right time, but they need the courage to keep going, I promise you, if you stay the course, incredible things will happen. Right when you're about to give up, your breakthrough's right around the corner.
That's right.
And I just feel someone needs to hear that today.
3 feet from gold. If you
come on, girl,
don't give up, you cannot give up. You cannot give up. So, wow. So, and we're going to talk more about that before we close, but I'm curious, you move from New York to Denver when you're not working, and it sounds like you're working a lot. You got a great support team. What do you like to do for fun?
Play with my kids.
Okay.
Yeah, do a lot of movie nights and different things like that. And then my wife and I like to travel. So been a little bit tough. We have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. So
oh my gosh,
my wife's been pregnant for like 8 years, basically. So we haven't been able to travel as much as we'd love to, but we're coming right around on that season now. And so we've started to do our weekend getaways and stuff again. But yeah, I love what I do in business, but when I have time to open up the gamut to have fun, I might go visit one of my business coaches. My main business coach lives in New York City. And so we like to go to it's Fort Lee, New Jersey and hang out and have some awesome Korean food. And and if I'm not doing something like that or speaking at an event or a mastermind or attending a client's conference or something, then I'm home with the kids on the floor having fun. So
good for you. That's fantastic. You mentioned movie night. What's your favorite movie?
Man, that's not a cartoon because that's all I've watched for the last 6 years. Here, I'll say this. My favorite cartoon movie is Onward.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing Disney movie. If you've never seen it, you have to. It's incredible. Great storyline, incredible values in there. And I would say my favorite adult movie would be The Matrix. Yeah, The Matrix.
Okay. Just the original, not all of the...
Yeah, just the original. Not all about the other ones.
Yeah, I get it. I like Keanu. He's a great guy.
Sure
so, so one last question I want to ask you, because to me, the mastermind, mentormind, whatever you want to call it, is so spectacular. And you can solve so many problems in your business. But talk about the relationships and you had mentioned it, you touched on it, that you have to care. Can you just expand on the caring factor? Because I'm not so sure everybody understands what that means.
Absolutely. It came out of a framework that I was working on, which was 3 parts: intent, intuition, and integrity.
Okay. The eyes. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't, it's so funny. My brain doesn't work except for an alliteration. So those were the INs, right? So intent is, you got to know where you're starting from. Where are you today? Where do you want to be? Why are you doing what you're doing? My North Star of life, when it comes to what I believe I'm called to do, it's deeply rooted in generosity. Like, I just want to be able to give a gift without any expectation of return. I think that's the form of caring. To show up, to truly be of service, to be helpful, to be thoughtful, to create a memorable experience someone wouldn't forget. And you don't need anything from them. I'll tell you a scenario. I had a friend who was kind of struggling in his journey in entrepreneurship in January, and I Venmoed him $5,000. And he's like, dude, what do you do? And this is just an example. That's very small in proportion to what I want to do as a legacy. But that's all that I had to give at that time. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I know your family's struggling right now. I know you're in the mode of building a business. I don't need anything from you, which is why this feels so awkward, because everyone else in your life is taken from you.
Right.
I don't need anything. I just want to be able to help you out. And he's like, literally, dude, I have $122 in my bank account.
Oh.
And I said, this is from God. It's not from me. Don't thank me. Thank him. I don't know the prayers that you and your wife have been praying. All I know is I showed up at the right place at the right time, and my intuition told me to do this.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you
the
got to
gut
trust
check,
your gut. Trust your gut.
the gut checks everything. So you have the intent, being at the right place at the right time, right? Then you have the opportunity, which is rooted in your intuition, to do the hard thing, even though you might not want to do it, or you might not want to be misunderstood, or you might not blah, 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 blah. I don't argue anymore. I just go like, if I feel it, I trust it, and then I do it. Now, the last thing is integrity. Integrity is the boomerang that brings that speed back to you 10 times faster than it went out. So I believe if you consistently do the right thing at the right time, and you're, in my opinion, you are in alignment with your intuition, your virtues are aligned, and then the universe works out everything else. So that's the way that I live when it comes to caring. It's caring enough to set my work down when my daughter says, Daddy, will you play, tag with us in the house, right? And I'm like, let's do it. And I just jump out of here. 3 times out of every 4 asks, I choose my kids. 1 time I'll choose my work. That's integrity. That's living life with intent. And knowing where I'm starting from, where I want to be.
That's so spot on, and not expecting anything in return. And, for our network marketers, remember that when you attend a networking event of any sort, it's not about what they can do for you. It's what you can do for them, because it'll always come back to you. So
that's right.
So Nick, how can someone get in touch with you? And everything will be in the show notes, but you've got a special offer for our listeners. Do you want to share that, please?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing that I want to do for your audience is I want to hook them up with those 13 content types that every entrepreneur needs to create.
Yes.
So I will give that to you. It's a Google Doc, and I'll get that over to you so you can include it in the show notes. Okay. And then also, if anybody's in a position of where they feel like they want to really upgrade their inner circle when it comes to being around, I'm talking about really powerful entrepreneurs, people who are up to something in the world, who will put you on. Because like attracts like. So if you like my energy, I'm a magnet for people who like me. And if I polarize you, then I love you and I'll give you a hug, and you don't have to hang out with me. That's totally fine. But I'm leading these entrepreneurial communities in this format of mentorship and masterminding together. And if you feel like, hey, if I upgrade my circle, I bet I'll do a lot better in this game of life and also in business, then feel free to reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. And that's nickcavuoto.com/mentormind. So nickcavuoto.com/mentormind. And you can learn more information. And I will say this in closing, if someone's struggling within their business, specifically in network marketing, and they don't have the fundamentals down, and or they're in a scaling season and they're not at the highest echelon of where they're kind of on cruise control, but doing hundreds of $1,000s a month, you need to get in touch with Janet, because she has the right intent. She has the right intuition. She has the right integrity to lead you to where you want to go. And you've been a great blessing in my life. So
thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it. And
you're welcome.
It is a great business, and everybody needs the support, and really and truly getting that energy from somebody like yourself and, all of the other people you're surrounded with. But you gave us some really, really great nuggets. So I took lots of notes. I hope I can read my writing when I'm done here, but they were phenomenal. So everybody, thanks again, Nick. Really, really appreciate it. I thank our listeners, and be sure to reach out to Nick. Take a look. I'm definitely going to get those 13 things that need to be posted, because it's what we need to do. And the messaging is so very important. And with the right message, you're going to attract the right people that you want. So this is Janet Metzger of the Network Marketers Den, and we look forward to you achieving all your goals and dreams. And I'll see you on the side of success, everybody. Take care. Thanks so much.